how we're saying that, women have the right to walk away, or that Black women don't have to be the backbone of the community at the expense of themselves. So then you got to find a man who's okay with you saying that, because a lot of people aren't, whether they realize it or not. They expect you to suffer. They expect you to stay there. And if you're not, then you're not down. So my most current relationship met on Tinder, actually. I was like completely against dating sites. I was actually at a session with my editor for a film that I just did, and a friend stopped through and, she was asking, yo, Ev, like, are you ever on the apps? And I'm like, no, I don't need that drama. My regular life is like ridiculous enough, so I don't need to add internet people to the space. Basically, the conversation morphed into me agreeing to get on the apps for a week, and if it failed, then it would be material for my show that I'm writing, that's like loosely based off my life, but the girl has a lot of like dating blunders. So I met him on day 2, and yeah, we just took off from there. I feel like Black love is like one of the most purest, like best things that can happen. And a lot of people think that that's rooted in the fact that, the Black man and the Black woman will have like so many different things that kind of torment us. Yeah. We have our different experiences, even though, our skin color is the same. And if you can find common ground within that and, love blossoms out of that, then that's a beautiful thing. What I loved about how we approached things was that we talked about healing a lot, just individually, holistically, like as a community. So we just found common ground on that. And a lot of that really just like laid our foundations. We were both familiar with love languages. We were both familiar in failings from past relationships. We talked openly about that. So just the ability to be open and honest about how you're feeling, how you felt, where you've gone wrong, where other people have wronged you, that's just kind of like really helped cemented our foundation. I've dated a lot. So I feel like in dating experiences, there's never an experience where you walk away and say, I learned nothing, right? So for me, what I've learned in past relationships was mostly about how I loved, so it wasn't, of course, I feel like in past relationships, there were failings on the other person, but that still taught me a lesson about myself, what I tolerate, what I shouldn't tolerate, how I react, how I communicate. What standards can I put at the very beginning of the relationship so that those standards aren't violated later? And that's what eventually, everybody sees red flags. So what red flags am I willing to ignore? What red flags are non-negotiables? So I feel like those relationships just helped mature me emotionally. And that really just helped me go forward in this one now. Definitely, there's so many. Society, where we are as a society, I feel like our generation is very knowledgeable about economics and things of that nature, but economic warfare is like one of the biggest things against us. So you have the economy, you have the fact that Black women are like the most educated group, but we're not making as much as our counterparts. And then you also have the wealth gap being at $130,000, and you have men trying to, there's a stigma on Black men that, that you have to be made, that you have to have a certain amount of money to really succeed and to be in a relationship. And so I feel like Black women deal with that also in a certain aspect, in terms of we'll get a lot of men who say they want to provide for us, and we're feeling like, that's not necessary in order for us to really go forward. So there's the economic pressures. I feel like there's also we're in a state where we just kind of have like a cutoff mentality. Like it's very simple for people to cut each other off. There's a difference between being spiteful, and there's a difference between a healthy boundary. And I feel like we don't have that. So that's another tough thing that we have. Then, there's also just things that have generationally just been passed on to us, like women's roles, gender roles with men and women, and how we're redefining that in our age group, how we're saying that, women have the right to walk away, or that Black women don't have to be the backbone of the community at the expense of themselves, you know? So then you got to find a man who's okay with you saying that, because a lot of people aren't, whether they realize it or not. You know, they expect you to suffer, they expect you to stay there, and if you're not, then you're not down. So there's a lot of stigmas and stereotypes that we face as well. So I feel like as a generation, millennials are facing a lot because we're in a place where society and our values and our morals are rapidly changing just as fast as technology is. So everybody's just trying to keep up and get on the same page as somebody else, which it's not easy.